Hi everyone, it's Heather Lisle here, and this week we're going to be talking about, did you have a middle school crush? Now, it's not just all about middle school crushes. We're going to be talking about, trust and courage as well too. But let me first start out by saying that my oldest came to me last week and wanted to talk to me about a girl that he thought might like him at school. And I was like, well, do you like her back? And he was just like, well, I like her as a friend, but I just don't know what to say to her. I don't want to hurt her feelings, and so I don't really know what to say. So we talked through what you need to say in order to not hurt feelings. So let me just stop right there and say, I love the fact how I have kids who want to be so tender-hearted and approach life with wanting to protect other people's feelings. That just made me so happy for him. But anyway, I told him the first thing that you do is you have to acknowledge the courage and honesty that it took for someone to come up to you and say, those things. It takes a lot of courage, and it's a big deal to be vulnerable with someone, and you should absolutely never take it lightly. We talked about how it's hard to share true feelings sometimes because you've got to trust the other person and feel comfortable and confident to be yourself. But here's the deal. I don't care if we're talking about office issues with your colleagues or middle school crushes. Having the guts to walk up to someone and have a conversation about hard things takes some serious courage. And it also takes a relationship that's built on trust too. Whether you're the CEO or the middle school kid, when someone approaches you with information that puts them in a state of vulnerability, you've got to know that they trust you implicitly or they wouldn't be talking to you. Furthermore, I feel like you've got a unique responsibility to nurture that person for putting themselves out there. Because let me tell you, as you all very well know, there's not too many people who will put themselves in that vulnerable state to talk and share real feelings. Those people are few and far apart, excuse me. And so when you find that those people come along in your life, you got to really nurture that, in my opinion. So how do you build trust? I am a raving fan of Brené Brown. Her research indicates that trust is built upon small moments. She talks about how you have to share stories with others and be vulnerable in order to gain that trust. For example, your boss might ask you, hey, how's your mom's chemo treatment coming along? How is she feeling? Those types of questions and concerns that a boss might bring up makes us feel like we're connected in some way and that we trust them. We've shared a part of ourselves with them, and that connection, that vulnerability builds trust. Brown says that we have to choose to connect with people as well. I don't know about you, but sometimes choosing to connect can be really hard sometimes. I don't know how many times you've, had a phone call and you see the name pop up on your screen and you're like, oh, I don't have time to talk to that person. At the end of the day, we're choosing not to connect with that person who's calling. Anyway, I highly encourage you. I'm going to link to the Brené Brown video of Anatomy of Trust. It's awesome, and you have to watch it. It's 22 minutes and it's so good. Brown describes trust as braving. It's an acronym. Boundaries, reliability, accountability, the vault, integrity, non-judgment, and generosity. What my son and I were talking about the other day was the vault. When and if this girl approaches him about her feelings, I told him to acknowledge the courage that it took for her to say something. And I also told him not to say a single word to a soul about what she says to him. And why? It's absolutely imperative that people see you as someone who can keep confidentiality. As Brown says in her talk, a lot of times we tend to share information that is not ours to share. People need to know that what they tell you in confidence can stay in confidence. I know that we've all had moments in life and in work where trust has been fractured. It happens all the time. But the next time someone does or says something that underscores that trust issue, go back to braving. What exactly did that person do to fracture your trust? Was it a reliability issue? Was it a boundary issue? Did they judge you when you were in a weak moment? I believe that taking the time to think through the how part of how people are not trusting, how you don't trust others, really can help you unpack, those feelings of, what's happened to make that trust, not a good thing for your relationship. My son wanted to know the tips and the tools to help make a hard conversation a little bit easier. He trusted himself enough to know that he did not know the words to say. And dang y'all, that just takes to me, that's just really impressive. To not know the words and to feel like, hey, I need to go talk to somebody about what to say, that takes a lot of courage too. So Brown closes her talk by saying, when it comes to trust, the thing to examine first is how you treat yourself. You can't ask people to give to us something that we don't believe we are worthy of receiving. You know you're worthy of receiving it when you trust yourself above anyone else. So whether that's that middle school crush or a difficult conversation in the office that you need to have, trust yourself, think about the words to say, and go back to braving. It's just it's a great way to look at this. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me this week, and I look forward to talking with you next week. All right, thanks so much. Have a good one. Bye.